to me, I think the greatest foundation in my education started in high school in an environment that also art and entertainment was really rich. And it gave me a fearless approach to art. I tried to sing, it didn't work. I tried to dance, it didn't work. So I had this vision for my life that like my life is going to be, I'm going to climb up to the top. And to the top. I want to know why. Like why? Why am I here? Why is this successful? What am I doing right? So that I know how to repeat it.
And so I just want to understand the journey from using that art and what led you into the furniture space.
I started creating couches where I can cuddle with my son. And so what Habitat is that it's just a trade for all of us for families to stay longer together. You know, like these are the things that I'm passionate about.
How did the name come about?
Like we have clients around the world who are buying our furniture for their homes around the world. With Habitat is not only to me a business that I started that is doing great because I have the tools to do that and I have the people to do that. To me, it's not only just a company that is successful, but also because I wanted to do it as a business, so the commitment I had in it of just like I wake up early in the morning because I have a problem to solve.
What's your approach to engaging with clients?
I realized that the best thing ever, the greatest reward in business is a paying happy client. When we talk about pricing, I always remember how much of the solution is my fault.
You've been an entrepreneur for a while now, and do you think this thing is for everybody?
Oh my gosh, I don't think so, and I don't think it has to be.
Why is that?
First, entrepreneurship.
Paradis, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very blessed.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What are the things that make you feel blessed right now?
Right now, when I woke up, of course, in my nice room, with peace. Recently, I went to bed, and so where I live, we are close to a swamp. So at night, you can hear nothing, no cars, nothing, just hear the swamp, and the bush, and it's so beautiful. And I was like, Liam was in bed, my son, and I was like, oh, girl, I'm so blessed. It's so peaceful, like we're so blessed in Rwanda. It's like I could just hear the sound of peace and silence. And so I am blessed.
Yeah, amazing. I like to understand the entrepreneur or the person behind the entrepreneurial endeavor. And I would love to dive deep into a little bit of your story. What are some of the key events when you look at your, let's say, past, growing up, adulthood? What are some of the things that you believe shaped you into the person you are today?
Number one is the stability of my mother. Yeah, and like I didn't appreciate that always. And she's just that center. I was shaped by always knowing where she is and what she's up to, and being a woman who sacrificed, in my own eyes, I think like her life is just to serve me and my siblings. So that really shaped the woman that I am today, and her resilience and her giving, when it's tough, when it's easy. I always remember, I've never seen my mom like acting like, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm done with you guys, 5 kids. So that really shaped me. My dad being like full of love, full of energy, always like, oh my God, that is, like full of life, right? So that those two things from my parents, and because, I am the firstborn of my family. That's also why I'm called Imfura. But my dad calls me Imfura not because I'm the firstborn, because of the meaning of Imfura anyways. So those two things, and the way I remember when I was 8 years old, before I could read and understand English, my dad got me this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Do you know the book? By Robert. Oh my God, I was like, I still, and a Macmillan dictionary. And I still have the same dictionary. And recently my son is 9, so he's using a dictionary. And he's like, why is this your favorite dictionary? I'm like, because it's the first dictionary my dad got me.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just 8. And so my dad always believed highly in me until today. Like, my dad is my biggest fan and mentor and director. No, because he knows so much about what I'm doing, but just because of the way he believes in me. Like, I see the world through the eyes of like how my dad sees me, is how I'm always praying that I see myself and I see others. And my mom, the way she's always a person of stability and doing things like making sure I do my homework. Like right now that I do homeworks with my son, things that shaped the woman that I am today is also that my mom always took intentional, comment dirais-je, my mom always invested in the time she spent with me, with us, like she always did homeworks with me. And she will always open your books. I want to see what you're doing in school. How are you doing? Do you need help? And she'll help me. And that really also gave me a deep sense of knowing that until today, I still surround myself with mentors. I still surround myself with people like you that can teach me something great. You see what I mean? So yeah. And the third thing is my spirituality, honestly, because also I'm blessed that my job is almost very spiritual, because it's not like I always tell people who are ready to work on their homes or their offices or their space, they're ready to work on their lives truly. People who just live, like how people sometimes would just let the fridge go 3 months without cleaning, or something as easy as a doorknob that is not functioning. They will just leave it for a year. It's a sign for something deeper. So my job is a job that gave me access, because I can't connect with materials if I'm not just beyond my intellect and my logic and my emotions. And that's a spirituality to me. And that's really my foundation and the biggest, that's actually the pillars that I stand on, and the foundation and the roof. There's like me, right? Yeah.
That's very interesting. That's a very strong foundation.
That's in my podcast.
Right, exactly. So take me through a little bit of your early experience with art.
Okay.
Let's go to art.
Okay. So first of all, my creative senses were nurtured by the fact that I studied embroidery with my mom when I was 7. Like, not only because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she embroidered, she knitted, she did a lot of things in our house. It's just naturally homemaker that she is, but also it's business. Like, she would do this, people getting married. She would do this for a special occasion, napkins, all that. And she told me how to do it. So I really love the way that my mom trusted me with the fact that I did that with her. She would pay me for it. And to me, my first encounter with art was through my mom, and the way she would talk about urudodo, indodo. As basic as indodo is, like even picking threads, like testing the material of the thread and choosing all these little colors and the the nuances, playing with the nuances and manipulating materials. I remember started knowing about cotton and silk when I was literally 7, because my mom would tell me, no. On silk, we use this thread. On cotton, we use this one. This is a harder cotton, and she would tell me something, I don't remember, like a 400. I was like, okay, I knew it. I didn't know where it comes from, but I kind of knew it. And it was a positive encounter because she was paying me. And my mom being a very silent woman, that was the only time we could interact, really. Like, that was the only time we could laugh about something. I mean, not the only. She'll be mad. She'll be like, what did you say? No, it was just like, it was a time that she would just, okay, so let me use this example. Liam is always telling me, the best mother, he only wished I could be more playful. So my mom was the best mom. I only wish she would be more playful. So when we were doing this, she was more playful with me. She was like, like, so it was fun. And she would pay me for it, and I would do it very well. And also for me, art is starting with just a thread and a fabric. And at the end of the day, you have a bed that is made, you have a napkin, you have a tablecloth. So it's just from transformation. That's also why, if you've had the chance to see my bio, I see myself as a transformational leader. In leadership, I'm only passionate about transformation. So for me, it's always that transition, like from raw materials to refined elegance to like, I love craft. Like, I know we are a generation that love industrial or, just do it yourself, or just things that are just done in a way that is not refined. And it's okay. There's also an artistic expression in that. But my own artistic expression is always in transformation, in adding so much value, in refining, refining.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me there.
Refreshing.
Oh, you're going there. You got that out of me.
And how did that inspire what you went on to study later on?
Do you want to hear my academic journey? My God. Okay, so when I went to do in high school, I did math, physics, and chemistry, like every smart kid.
Yeah.
Because my dad believed I was smart, so I believed I was smart, and then I was smart in class. So I was like, okay, I'm good with this thing called school. So I always studied on comment on appelle ces trucs. Like, when you're so good that you get special schools, you go to special schools.
Scholarship.
Kind of scholarships, but also like privileged school, like Ivy League in Rwanda.
Do you know we had those?
Our own version. We should actually do that because we have some really cool, really, really great schools.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to me, I think the greatest foundation in my education started in high school, and where I was exposed to science in an environment that also art and entertainment was really rich. And it gave me a fearless approach to art, to science. I was like, I could actually do science, be a super smart kid. I tried to sing, it didn't work. I tried to dance, it didn't work. So my thing was debate. So I did a lot of oral spoken words. Like I would be, I trained my vocal cords to just, and then that gave me language because I was brought up in an environment where languages were not in my toolbox. There was no English, there was no French. So, but then exposing myself to an environment of debating and intellectual conversations opened me up. So then it led me to a deep curiosity about psychology. Yeah. But I remember after high school, I did this course that was administered by MIT online. It was a one-off course. I don't know why they did that. Psychology. I mean, I know that kind of. So when I did this, it was just a diploma. It really opened my senses and my sensitivity and gave me skills about navigating people and knowing people more. So that was really good. And then I went to Mount Kenya instead of KIST. I was like, I won't have 4 years to spend in a university because not a year and a half of my life, So I had this vision for my life that like my life is going to be, I'm going to climb up to the top, and to the top, the top, and that's from very young. I don't know where I got that from. I think from my parents. I still have that. So I'm always, my journey, my education, my academic journey has always been to make myself fit for the journey. It's like when you're getting ready for a climb or a hike, you just make sure you have the right shoes, your feet, you've been training, right? So my academic journey is not about it. It's really not about the math. How do I use math when I'm out? Literally I'll ask my teachers, I'll ask them, how would I use this in real life? Yeah. I remember this thing that I am so, like, when I was like in P4, like primary 4, I was so good. And in class, really, by the grace of God, honestly, because I don't know how, but my mom was really doing homeworks with me. So I got those smarts from my mom. I was prepared. My mom was always preparing me. There was no day she allowed me to go to bed without doing my homework for like an hour and a half or 2. No day. So it became a culture. So then I was always better prepared. So I remember asking my Omochinyarwand, who were doing science. I asked them, what's the use of this thing? And then my teacher told me, don't you want to travel the world? So now you have to know every time you're traveling, if this is about geography, if this is about history, you know a little bit about this country. And so to me, it's always been like, because I knew my life was going up to be like a climb where I'm going from top to another top. I knew that I really want to know why I'm doing everything I'm doing, especially in school. So that gave me stamina. And I failed sometimes, a lot of times, but I could always remember that I'm going to the top. Then I did psychology. Then instead of going to KIST, I went to Mount Kenya. I was set to do media because when I was 14, I was privileged in my school. They started a little program with the help of National Broadcasting Agency of like a culture of speaking and, talking out. And it was a little like kind of podcast then. And they chose me to be the president. They nominated me. And I was like, I had to do with this, but I enjoyed the privilege and the responsibility, and it really exposed me. And so when I went to Mount Kenya, I wanted to do media. That's also why, even if I did science, I didn't want to do civil engineering. So I was like, okay, let me go do media. So I went, I asked them, they're like, oh, we have media, and I was like, change my mind. I want to do marketing. There was something, I don't know, that when the head of administration was explaining to me the importance of, let's say, marketing, he was like comparing programs so that I could choose. I'm like, let's do marketing. So I did. I did my first 2 years. On to my last year, I got a huge opportunity to me of working with the EU as a translator. Because remember, when I was in high school, I got exposed to that world of translation, debates, intellectual conversations. That program down my school was in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Agency that I was heading on the country level. Gave me a chance to also travel the country and to meet different high schoolers that are great. They knew they were ready for the climb. So what this did to me when I met my boss at the EU, I met them just for an interview. They wanted a key to understand things so that they can send around. They were like, you found the girl for the job. So then the workload was too much that I could no longer go to school. So I dropped that. And that's the same year I did this job. I got pregnant and I started a business. And then in the middle of that, I was like, because also remember, I know I'm going to the top, but I believe in preparation, I believe in refined knowledge. Like I'm the luckiest person ever, but I never want to depend on my luck. I want to know why. Like, why am I here? Why is this successful? What am I doing right? So that I know how to repeat it. So I love processes that are clear. So then when I started my business, I had the privilege to be traveling the world. Every trip that I'll be traveling is not to look for the biggest shops where I could do a sale, where there was a sale to do my shopping. No. It wasn't about taking pictures. No. Where are all the furniture? Workshops, not even like just shops, workshops. And the gurus in the furniture making world. And I tell you, I met some of them. And they planted something, a hunger in me. And all the countries around the world that I went to, and see what the possibilities in the furniture world, in the finishing and construction world, I was like, we can do this. We can do more than this. We can give a gift to our country of something like this or our version of this. So that's it. And then I'm like I'm a student for life.
I can tell. Yeah. I can tell. Beautiful story there. One thing that I wanted to pick up on is something you kept mentioning, which was you wanted to climb to the top. Did you know the top? Did you know where you wanted to go? Yeah. Where was it?
So where I was, I remember, so when I was like 7 years old, our house was close to a little tiny church. And every day at 4 a.m., because my mom will put you in bed at 7 p.m. So at 4, you kind of like awake. At 4 a.m., they'll be singing, like this like with just a little drum. Yeah. This drum, like with a stick, not like fancy electric drums, no. They'll be singing, and sometimes it would be annoying. Some other times it would just be like, this is soothing. Like, it was kind of like, I think it awoken my spiritual hunger. So what then it did to me is that I was like, I started a little bit praying. My parents were not like great religious people, but they kind of they had a center and a belief system that they gave me to believe in God, go to church every Sunday. That's it. So, but for me, when I started getting hunger, because something about me, I'm always hungry. It's not like the top is just for the top. It's that I'm hungry to get there. Like, I'm curious. Like, I just want to get there. It's not about the top, how much money, the car, that you drive when you. No, it's not really a lot about it. It's just that I'm hungry for more, always, for better. So then we started praying at home. A little bit, I would just ask, I was the lead. I would just ask everybody, I've cooked food. Yeah. Before we eat, I'm going to pray. We're going to pray all together. Yeah. Of course, I was the cook at home. I would just, oh my God. You don't want to ask my mom and my dad about things I used to mix up to come up with like fancy artistic dish. I'm embarrassed by that. And they still laugh about it so much. Yeah. So sometimes they allow me to pray and we would pray together. And my prayer was from that very act, I was like, I want to be a blessing for my country and for the whole world. That was my prayer. I didn't even know what a blessing is. I would say, kubera umugisha, igihugu cyanjye cyose n'isi yose. And then my dad was like, but what is that thing called umugisha baravuga? But when I do something great, he'll be, narakubwiye ngo uzabera umugisha. He'll be excited. He'll be like, oh, I see what you mean. And my mom. But I didn't know what Omidisha is, what to be a blessing to my country, to my family, to myself, to the whole world, what it is. So then the world and God, I was like, I'll show you what it is. So I believe that my journey today is really like an embodiment of what it is to be a blessing to my country, to my family, and to the whole world. And that's the top for me. And I always want to get more of that as the, just a big, full benefit to my country, to my community, to my family.
And we understand, the top that you're trying to climb to, or still trying to climb to, right? So I just want to understand the journey from using that art and what led you into the furniture space.
Yeah. So to me, art is a way of living. This is the way I express myself artistically. It's who I am, even as a leader, even as a finance analyst. I told you I'm doing finance, right? So that's mine. I want to have a PhD in finance. Not because PhD or finance. I just want to understand everything there is to understand about fintech, especially. Because, I'll tell you why later. But art and creativity is who I am, and it's who we all are when we allow it to be. Yeah, it's not like I love this thing. One of my mentors has a t-shirt where it's written, God is a designer. Yeah, so beyond everything, the first thing that God did was to create. Yeah, beyond everything, before he ordered us to be entrepreneurs, to multiply, he said, be. Right? So that's creativity, that's art. And he chose that there will be light. And so I know that in our essence as human, that are created, in my belief, by God for his great plan, which is, for me, he has a great plan for me just as Paradis. He has a great plan for you just as Yusuf. The greatest start is as a creative. It's not the end. It's not your favorite thing. It's not your passion. It's not. It's where you come from. It's where I come from. So how art landed me to this, it's landing me somewhere. It's it being the foundation that I have for anything I'm going to do in this life. Yeah.
Amazing. Wood Habitat.
That's Wood Habitat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wood Habitat
yes.
Wood Habitat is a canvas that I got so privileged to draw on, to experiment on, to it's like a field that I got a privilege to work. And I started young, and it's a huge privilege. So that's also why I say I'm blessed always. When I realized at 21, I was already in this. I just say, how did I get this blessed? I'm so blessed. And Wood Habitat to me is not only just a company that is successful. It's a company that is allowing me, that is transforming me, that is equipping me, that is making me a greater person, that is making my 54 people greater people every day, even the people who came and left. It's making them greater people, even the 60 people we're serving every month, making it about, 720 people a year. My biggest motivation, my hunger and all I want to see is to give them something better. Yeah, so Wood Habitat is not only to me a business that I started that is doing great, that's going to even going to do greater on a global scale, because I have the tools to do that and I have the people to do that, and I'm planted in an environment that allows me to do that. But it's also it's that canvas for creativity, and not only mine, for my team's creativity, for my clients' creativity. Like now that I just met you and I'm learning so much about you, I have personas that I interact with creatively. Because I'll tell you more about my creative process. I always start with an imagination. And my imagination is a better world, right? And I always tell people one of my favorite things that I see, and I always tell my son that, is this transformation around this road, near Kigali Heights, like near the convention center.
Yeah.
With the flowers, not because I'm a plant girl and flower girl, just because of, I remember that when it was just a one word. I kind of don't remember it vividly, but I kind of remember when it wasn't that great. And now I see how great it is. So it's wood habitat is just a tree for us to serve greatness, and for us to be served greatness, for our clients to give us comments that are making us greater, for us to give the world a refined, beautiful chair out of firewood, food that people would use normally for fire. It's wood habitat is there. I always tell people I started creating couches when I just wanted a comfortable place where I can cuddle with my family. That's all. I wanted a couch that was so soft and so wide.
Yeah.
And so comfortable that where I can cuddle. Yeah. And I can cuddle with my son. And then I remember the first couch we made. My son, we could always fight because it was like a section or something, like an L. So there's this side that is like wider, like a bed.
Yeah.
And so we all be like, I will be that corner. So then I was like, okay, why don't we make the whole couch like a whole bed, right? Yeah. So it's and so wood habitat is just a tray for all of us for families to stay longer together. Yeah. Like these are the things that I'm passionate about. And also my perspective about it as a Rwandan 31 years old woman is, I think like our generation in Rwanda, we know the value of transformation probably more than anyone else. Please, everybody, forgive me if I sound like too patriotic, but we understand transformation. So when I see where we are, where we've been, and where we are going, that's, to me, in my perspective, as a business, as a furniture designer, this is what I'm giving the world. Like, we have clients around the world who are buying our furniture for their homes around the world. Like, I'm not going to name countries, but this is something so powerful that always reminds me, it's not that they didn't find chairs. It's not that they couldn't find a bed. It's just that they interact with that power of transformation that is the DNA and the spirit of wood habitat and the furniture I create.
How did the name come about?
Oh my God. I remember, so this was this day that I was with my boss then. No, okay, I need to, because when you say, but I don't like to use that word.
Employer?
Yeah. He actually ended up becoming a great mentor. Can I use mentor?
Sure.
Yes.
Whatever describes him best.
Yeah, mentor. So I was with my mentor. Then we were working together. I was his assistant on a storytelling project where I was interviewing the people for him in the rural areas of Rwanda and putting together, content and trying to find the value of the project they were working on as an organization. And then I remember we were sitting in a little cafe for lunch, and I was very pregnant, like 7 months pregnant. And then I told him, this hotel called me, an architect called me. This was after making my baby crib. He called me and he said they would like to get headboards for the Akagera Game Launch Hotel. Not only that, Akagera is my favorite park, probably in the world. Akagera is beautiful. My God, I've been there. I love Akagera. I was going to jump in there like 2 times. Yeah. I'm guilty of that, and I still want to do that a lot. So when he said that, because Akagera to me is so beautiful, like I love it. I was like, oh my God, so excited. Then I wanted to do it, not because I was only able, but just because I love the place and I want to be part of what they're creating. Then he said, but you have to be a registered company. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? I don't even know how you register a company. Imagine I'm a 21 years old, young girl, very pregnant, 7 months pregnant, in a little cafe eating with my mentor, who was then my employer. And he said, my client / my employer, I don't know. And he said, why not? You can register a company, it's easy. I was like, okay, yeah, I will register. I was on the phone. So after the call, I was like, yeah, so this story, how can I register a company? Help me. So this is a guy who is very, he's globally recognized for his work in creativity. I was so blessed to be working under him. And then he was also working on, I think, a National Geographic project, whatever. Then we sat and I say, then he was asking me questions that led to Wood Habitat. So he was asking me various questions. And I remember the one question that he really provoked me to lead to Wood was that he was like, do you ever see yourself making like plastic stuff or, cool stuff, plastic, da, da, da? So, no, I just want to use wood. Because wood is the material I had used for my son's baby crib, And then I was like, okay, that's what. And he was like, okay, you wrote it down. And then he was like, yeah, I want to do a home because, because I was still in the passionate, nurturing mode of a very pregnant girl for the first time, expecting her first son, being like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I was like always on Pinterest, like, okay, what color am I going to paint? I was always like, literally, I'll be in work meetings on Pinterest, be like, and I ask, do you think this color will look good for a baby boy? That was like my life. And then I was like, yeah, I want to create something like a home. It's a home, it's something nice. And that's the name. And he was like, yeah, so a habitat. We had like a list of 10 things to connect to wood. I was like, habitat. Because it's more than just a home. It's a habitat. It's an environment. Little did I know that what was in front of me was the future of a generation and many other generations. So it's a huge privilege.
That's a beautiful story of how you came up with the name. Yeah.
And the logo.
The logo.
Yeah, so the logo is the symbol of continuous growth.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. I see where the background and being a creative, was able to like help you shape a lot of the soul of the company later on. And how the first? So now you have a registered company. You have a name. You have a logo. How did you start making it into a company?
I did that after 3 months.
After the baby.
After the baby. So then I gave birth. And I remember I gave birth around the 2nd, and then the 15th, the company was registered. So and I remember I took the baby with me.
Yeah.
So after
to register a business.
Yeah, which is great. RDB doing a great job, and I've RDB for that. It was quick. And then of course I remember one of my first clients was GIZ after the Akagera. Was GIZ.
How did you even land a client that big?
No, they landed me. We didn't even land nothing. Honestly, I wish I was that prepared, right? Yeah. So, because the word was like spreading, like people were telling, there's this girl who does this, da da da.
Yeah, after the Akagera.
Yes, after the Akagera. Okay. So apparently the leader of this project, the mini project of GZ, went to Akagera, and then he was like, this is great work. Who did this? Yeah, remember, this is 2015 when nobody was in that space, or in just a very few people really that I honor and respect a lot, because this is hard. You know?
I can tell.
And he called me. He said, hey, an intimidating accent. He was like, and he was like, yeah, we have this office, fourth floor, this iconic building. We need you to come to our space. It's still one of the biggest projects I worked on here today. And I was like, I went there, saw it, and I was like so excited. To me, it's always the hunger, because I tell you, like, I'm hungry, because I get excited. I have that passion. Like, so people, like, I think my clients, my first 5-10 clients bought that from me, bought that drive that we can make it work. He was like, oh my, when I went there, I was like, oh my God, look at the view, look at this, look at it. I was like looking at me, and with the team, they were like, I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then we're going to, my passion was just speaking. I wasn't speaking. My passion was speaking. Then they gave me the contract. You don't want to know the embarrassing things. The next day, they called me. They say, we would like to visit your workshop because it's a big contract. I was like, but I told you I don't have a workshop. But do you have a team? I have 2 guys that I work with. They're like, okay, can we see the guys? Can I see you? Where are you working from? I took them to where I was working from, which was Gakinjiro. Oh my God, in a dusty place, in they parked very far. They could come. And I'm holding my baby. I was very okay. I was doing great. And I was like, kind of like, this is it right now. They're like, so can you do this? Can you make, I remember it was about 16 desks. Really design desk. We designed everything. I still remember. So I designed this because one of my biggest abilities is to work with fibers, right? And also I got that from studying to knit and embroidery. So I did this. I weaved something in banana leaf that they loved so much. So there was a lot of weaving going on. So I had weavers, I had woodworkers, and I had the finishing team, because also they liked my finishing. So they liked 2 things. They liked my creative, passionate engagement. And then they also loved the investment that I'm putting to refine the work I'm doing, not just to stay on the surface level of just I just make a great, cool, creative thing, but it's not great finished. No, I was also I was also paying the price for the process to make it highly crafted, beautifully transported and set. So it was a process, and they saw that, and I'm very privileged that they did, because working with these big clients gave me that of okay, this is possible. So one client gave me another. Here we are.
That's amazing. Especially the part where you were very comfortable in taking them into this place and stuff, where you have this huge client that was a big brand, especially in Rwanda. Everybody knows them, that they do a lot of big projects, taking them through that whole process of it's only 2 people.
I know I did that.
But that's amazing. It shows the passion, right? Yeah.
And me with the baby.
Exactly.
The baby. I was like, forgive me.
They must have been what did we get ourselves into?
Oh my God. Thank you. I want to write a letter to my first 10 clients.
Yeah. And so one thing that I'm curious about is, what do you think, for example, let's say, what did they see from what you did at Akagera that led them to be like, okay, we're interested in meeting this person? What did you do there from an artistic standpoint, or from the presentation?
Yeah, first is until today, is the great respect I have towards material. So people are able to feel that. When you see, for instance, when you walk in a shop, even if subconsciously we don't know, your mind, let's not use the when you see a nice car, I don't know cars at all, so I would just say a nice car. When you see a nice car, it's easy to understand that it's nice. It's almost like we are naturally as human, something nice, we recognize it really quickly. Like beauty is very easy to recognize. When something is not nice, it's hard for us to understand it. So that's why we say, we don't really like it too much. But what it means is, I don't understand it, because there's nothing in us, in our brains, that's supposed to understand something that is less than beautiful. Less than, what I like to use instead of beautiful, because beautiful is a little bit vague, is to use the word passionately put together. So what we love about nice cars, in the design world, we call it design, but really in a really simple vocabulary, it's that it's nicely put together. So when people see things that are nicely put together, we're not talking advanced artistic expression like style and colors. No, they just recognize there's something nice here and they want to engage. So when they saw the headboards, because of course they've been looking probably around for furniture. They've seen the way it's put together. They've seen the vision, the spirit of respecting the material, of putting it together, of the function of it. They wanted to know more. So that's it. That's all I keep together. And that's the foundation of WIB Habitat. Yeah.
With artists, one thing I like to understand about them is what's your approach to engaging with clients, with commercial clients, right? So there is actively looking for clients or letting clients find you, but also there's another one where even if you engage with a potential client, being able to choose clients.
Yeah, great
right?
question.
What's your approach with engaging with your clients or a potential client at that point?
So that's very good, and especially when you are 8 years in, that becomes very, So first of all, in my early 2 years of business, clients were just finding me. Like I was sometimes I even just like didn't want anybody to look for me anymore because it was just too much, and I was like I'm unable to handle it. Not because of ability, just it was because of preparation, So, but people were hungry the same way I'm hungry to find something nice and to find something to work with somebody who has that level of commitment to deliver excellence, to do that thing that looks great. Remember the example I gave you of a nice car? It's nicely put together and everyone wants that. So people will look for me for that, and not because I'm making furniture. They're like, there's something about this lady and this company. They know how to put something together and it looks nice. So that's what we want. So then after my first 2 years of that, it was hype. It was great. It was like, oh my God, do you know who called me? You know that? Big names calling you, like people you never thought they'll ever call you. They had your number. So they're calling you. So it's a huge privilege, and it made me super proud of our work, and it was fuel to my passion. It's great reward. It's really the most rewarding thing when people are just finding you. But the more I remember when I did my training with BPN, which was a transformative training, my first one, which was in my first year of business. So when I met Alice, that's also a great thing that I really value in life. And the more I'm doing this, I'm realizing that the greatest asset in life is great people around you. So Alice is one of my greatest gifts in life, because she asked me a question that changed my whole life. She asked me, is this a business or a hobby? And I was like, what's the difference? Because also definitely when you're passionate, you are a passionate creative entrepreneur to be, or you already are. It's very hard to separate hobby and business. And and we live in a world that gives you either or, like it's either entrepreneurship or hobby. But what I love about that question, it didn't force me to give an answer. It just stayed with me to be intentional about what I'm doing. And so remember when I tell you from when I was 7, I prayed to be a blessing to my country. So that's my top. I went back, I was like, but remember, I want to be a blessing to my country, to my family, to the whole world. What would be a blessing to this world? And that's where the business was finding me more than just a hobby. I'm not enjoying my hobby. Like I love the gym, I love great stuff that I love cooking, making juices and smoothies and colorful food.
Yeah.
I love those things, but I necessarily don't see them to becoming my businesses. But what having Boot Habitat and deciding that it was going to be a business, it was so, it gave me that thing of like, okay, so this is beyond just my passion. This is also, I will need to be prepared. It's not just being passionate about creating one nice bed, one nice door. I remember the door that I created that made, oh my God, everyone started calling me. I never forget about that door, which was our first piece. I made it out of just wanting to create something beautiful, but then I also made it out of wanting to create something that works. That's also, to me, business. I don't want to do anything that doesn't work. So for me, it's the greatest reward of my first 2 years was everybody was looking for me, and these relevant people that I was targeting, they saw the value. But also, because I wanted to do it as a business, they saw the commitment I had in it, of just like I'll wake up early in the morning because I have a problem to solve, a problem of somebody's waiting for their dining set this evening for dinner. You see what I mean? Like, and my team is waiting for me to decide something or to lead them, to show them what to do next. So that gave me, that was great. But in the next 3 years of business, that was year 4, year 5, was more about now choosing clients, of being like, okay, I don't want to do this. No, we'll do this. Not from a perspective because my ideas are greater than anybody else's ideas, but just because I'm realizing I can't do everything. And since I can't do everything and I want to be a blessing to you when you meet me, I cannot continue. Then I was like, I really need to be able to give you the best I can give. And there's only just a little. It's not too much that I can do. It's the best. So that's how I grew to now starting to be intentional about finding clients. And I call myself, if you have to see my personality from a professional perspective, I'm a great marketeer and I'm a great salesperson. And that used to bully me a lot. That used to scare me. That used to even make me feel like, oh my God, that makes me a little bit less creative. But it's not. I know how to give the best value that I can give and to receive the value from the interaction, from the transaction that I can receive the maximum. And I know how to continue to increase it. And I'm passionate to see how many people, like, how can multiply that effect? Like, how can I multiply? I call it the Herman effect.
Yeah.
Herman, which was my first client. So he was the Jesuit client. I was like, yeah. Mr. Herman. I call him Mr. Herman. Now I say Herman. It was Mr. Herman effect. How do I sell you? How do I give you? How do I create so much value that you're willing to pay me and just do everything that you have to do from your side in order to receive my value? That's what I'm always passionate about creating. And recently, I'm taking it further. From an advanced entrepreneurial perspective, I have decided my funding method, which I won't reveal here, behind the scene, I can tell you. But I realized that the best thing ever, the greatest reward in business, is paying happy client. It's a happy paying client. The biggest reward in anything you're doing is seeing it grow and become profitable. So for me, the profitability of my business from an emotional perspective of like feeling like, oh my God, this turned out so great, then a financial perspective, then a relationship perspective, then a spiritual perspective of like, actually my life is here for a bigger purpose. Recently, I went to Kivunwa, who is one of my latest projects. I mean, we have a few other projects that I love, but I'm just picking it because it's an open space and a cafe that people can just walk in and visit. So when I was there recently, it was this morning, it was like a Monday or Tuesday, and it was packed. There was no space for anybody to sit. And I was sitting down in a meeting and I could see everybody's busy. People are standing there still drinking their coffee, standing because the space is sold out.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I was like, imagine if with Habitat was not here. Imagine if I was not giving the best that I can give and continuing to improve. There would not be this beautiful Kivu Noir. Because I believe that what I did there added to their success. Of course, it's a little bit of the substance. Multiple other ingredients they have together for their success, but they're being successful because they also chose a business or a brand or to work with me because I care about my clients being successful, being really blessed. So I've realized that I'm very blessed because they are blessed and they are blessing others. People are just standing and still enjoying standing, waiting for somebody to leave so they can see it because it's a beautiful environment to be in. You are empowered, you are refreshed, you are inspired. That's all I'm here to create.
And it is a beautiful space, by the way. Everything is really, you can see the attention to detail. It's really beautifully done. What is your creative process? And it connects to the previous question, which is around, when you're looking at clients and you're like, okay, I don't think here we can add a lot of value to your project, right? But then also that ties into understanding what is your creative process? What makes you feel like, okay, this project is worth us working on?
Yeah.
And how do you let the customer come in and say, this is what I want to create. This is who I am. This is what I want. These are the different details that I want. Or you're like, how do you go about that?
So I will now talk from a perspective of where I am, but also I would like to do justice to anybody listening to this conversation who's just at the early stages of their business or entrepreneurial journey or creative journey. So my creative journey evolved, and I would even worry if it was stuck, right? So that's really powerful. I want people who are listening to really know that it has not been like this all the time. And maybe one day we can just talk about how it's been. So, but right now, my creative process starts from the most basic thing of just imagining something better. Better than. So when you ask me better, you can ask me better than what? So what I see is better than, first, it could be what used to be or what's commonly done, or the general approach to a way. Like I will give you an example. Recently, like right now, I'm working on a collection that is inspired by two people. One of them is my other person. I still need to ask them if I can reveal that. It's just because, not because they're attached or close to me or whatever. It's just because they represent people in my community that are, comment dirais-je, especially in my own industry, that are not anti-addressed. No, I mean, they have a need that is not addressed. Tu vois? So my mom, this collection, the way I'm looking at it, first of all, I ask a lot of questions. I mean, now I ask less because I want to ask better questions. So my creative process starts from just asking a lot of questions and listening a lot. So like a question to me can start a collection. Like for instance, and this one is like my mom saying, I can't afford you. I need to save up like for 2 years for me to afford your couches or your dining. She wants a dining and a bed, but she was like, I need to save up for 2 years. Can I pay you in like monthly for me to buy these two things? And this conversation stayed in my mind. I went home. I was like, what can I do about it? What can I do about it? What can I do about it? And because there's an issue with saving, or there's an issue about her saving, whatever. There's no issue with her paying in 2 years. There's none of that. But it was a need that was so unaddressed. And I'm passionate about creating something better, even finding a better solution. So every problem you throw my way, I'm always feeling like you're asking me to find a solution. And so then what I do after my imagination, that's the solution. So my imagination is fed by the question, the conversation, wanting to cuddle with my family, wanting to stay longer at dining tables, wanting so much light in the house so that in the morning it looks super bright and you can do your Bible reading, Bible study, morning reading with a natural light. Wanting to have dim light and warm light instead of white light at night, and pausing the music and sitting at the dining table with no music, nothing, just the voices. See what I mean? So when I'm creating, these are my imaginations, and they are triggered by something that I've either enjoyed so much, or I've either longed for and not had access to. So it's either both. So that's my imagination. Then from imagination, I go to who? Because for me, when I can't see the person, I can't create. Because I told you, my creative philosophy is the bond. It's a bond. It's beyond connection. It's a bond. It's a spirit of knowing that we are one. We're breathing the same air. I don't want to sound cliche, really, but it's very like we are connected more than how much we're separated. So then when I have the person that I'm creating for, not everything that I'm creating for is for everybody. So then when I have the person, so step 1 is my imagination. Step 2 is the person that I'm creating for. And I always have like a physical person, like a person that I know.
Yeah.
Either I know them very well, or I don't know them very well, but also that helps me. Then the third is, let's talk. So for me, my creative process, let's say now when we get to realization, is not like let's start by drawing. I start by almost a soul level conversation, and like an intellectual conversation, like an emotional conversation, and then after that person, I make something and I ask them again. So because I like prototypes, because prototypes to me, they come to my face because I am more like manipulate the material. We use the word manipulating in design. And in art, that means to touch and transform and, like you're shaping and reshaping. So then when I'm doing that, I am interacting with the piece, and it's speaking to me. It's the fabric saying something. It's the shape, it's the height, it's the comfort, it's the color, it's the representation of time, of how is it speaking in terms of time, because I told you time is really important in my design philosophy. My dream is that, like, especially internally, that things that surround the environment, they are fluid but yet timeless. They're so elegant but yet timeless, right? So that's it. Then my last, or not last, but at least what I call that is no longer in my hands, is now delegated to the team, is when I say we're ready to go with this. And then when we're ready to go with this, remember I have the who, which is the second step. It's already, I have the person when I'm interacting.
Yeah.
In my imagination, I have the person, they're talking to me, I'm talking to them. So then now my marketing, my management of logistics is informed by who I'm creating for.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very interesting process. So how do you go about pricing creative work?
Huh. So there is this one thing, first of all, like remember when I took you through my creative process? In my imagination, when I'm interacting with that person, I always ask myself, what would make them buy with a no grudge feeling? I like a no grudge purchase. I never want to do business in a place where somebody's going to pay their money and leave feeling a grudge.
Yeah.
And at WIB Habitat, there's something we say that it's like like we really believe and we know that our clients can never be the loser. Yeah. You know how you always sometimes, especially in creative exchange and creative interaction, that's also why I like the way you put it. Like sometimes we are not the right person to support or help or assist or create for a specific person or project. Not because they don't have money, not because we don't know what we're doing, but because they have a different vision. Because our clients, all of them, they have something in common. And that's what we're always looking for at first. So once we know, and once I have that clarity of this is what my client is looking for, and I'd like to know that, and I want to know as much as I can know, and I never get enough of information about that. Every time I have a chance to interact with the client or a potential client, I'm looking for clues to understand. I look at the way they look at me when I say I'm the lady from WIB Habitat. I want to know so much about what will make them buy something and feel proud and happy about what they bought. So when we talk about pricing, I always remember how much of a solution is my product, my creativity to them, because it can be just great creativity, but not relevant. Mm. So to me, my big guideline is always, how relevant am I to this person? So once I am relevant, it means I have a solution to a need that I picked, that they know how to present or don't know how to present, then we can have a conversation about price. I never, WIB Habitat, we never give prices like somebody walking there, like, how much is it? And you're like, first of all, hi, like, what do you want it for, right?
Yeah.
And so right now we're building systems that help people understand why they want to know the price before even knowing the price. So for me, the pricing, of course, there's mathematical approach to it as well, of knowing how much it costs me. And as a creative, I take it as a responsibility to always drive my cost so low so that the value I am adding to the product, something that is not tangible, is greater than always what's tangible. That's my goal as a creative. It's always that if you can touch this, I want something that you cannot touch like this, be the value you want. Because you didn't come here to buy this table because you can touch it. You bought this table where you could have conversation with somebody, a conversation that is going around the world. You see what I mean? So pricing is I was reading somewhere that pricing is an art and a science at the same time. But I keep two things in mind. First is the relevance. How relevant is this price to that person, to my target person, to the person I'm speaking to? First. And second, there's of course psychological relevance in everything. But then, of course, the second thing is the mathematical or financial approach of pricing. I keep both balanced very well so that none is overriding another, which is hard.
Yeah, it's really hard when it comes to pricing creative work. My friend, one of my good friends and I, we follow this guy. Not this guy is actually really famous. It's called Chris Do.
I love Chris Do.
Right. And he has a lot of trainings about like, how do you go about pricing, right? Because a client comes and they're like, yeah, I need a logo.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then, you know, when it comes to like, how much is it going to cost? And he doesn't like to answer it right away. He likes to like, you know, understand what is the problem that this logo is going to solve for you, right? And also, after understanding the problem, also understanding how much are you willing to invest to solve this problem, right? Let's go there.
Yeah.
And that has shaped me a lot when it comes to pricing a lot of creative work. I always want to understand people's budgets first.
Yes.
It's like, let's not engage in a long conversation about all these different things. How much do you have?
Yes.
How much do you want?
How much?
You know, what's the range? Then let's start from there. What can we do within that range so that you don't feel like you overpaid, or we are also not underpaid as well for the work that we're doing? Because sometimes you might want a lot of things, but you don't have the money for it.
Why not?
So let's not even go there. Or sometimes you might actually be wanting to spend a lot of money. So again, it falls back to the creative to say, how can I give you something that you will see that, you know, you paid your money's worth, right? So I think that's
the worth of it.
Exactly, right? So that you feel like, yeah, you know, I really got what I wanted.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah. I love Crystal. And that's also how I came up with the word relevance. Like, if I'm not relevant to you, I don't even need to price.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I don't know how to have, like you say, if I don't know how to understand really what is it, an intangible solution that you want, like thing you want to achieve, I'm not able to help you, you see. And then also as an entrepreneur, to understand, how do I now help people really be so in touch with their needs so that the conversation is very easy and less mysterious.
Yeah.
It's just like, how relevant is it, you know, to, for instance, drive an SUV, whatever, a car, or just walk? Like what, like, you know, like So that's how I look at it. And then and I agree with you that pricing creative work is really hard. And also one thing I wanted to also underline, that sometimes people feel like, oh my God, this is so expensive for nothing. It's just a table. It's just a bed. And it's great. And it's okay. That's their perspective.
Yeah.
So my job as a creator, now I stopped being feeling offended about it. Now I start to do the homework of how come I'm not able to translate how to let me find the right words. How can I make this relevant to them? Not because they have to buy, just at least if they can't buy it, they understand it's proper. It's so it's my...
Yeah, maybe not even making it relevant, maybe finding relevant people, you know, people who actually see it, right?
Yes.
Because there's sometimes when people have a problem with the price, it maybe might not be the price's problem, might be the people, right? And that's where it's like, maybe we're not the right people for you.
About great creators, let's say the iPhone creators, the nice cars creators, the people who can afford this product or not, they agree on something.
Yeah,
this is great stuff. So to me, that's my goal as a creator. I'm like, whether you afford or not, do we agree that this is great?
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't agree that this is great, it's my work as an entrepreneur to put in more work as a creative to give it more value.
I believe your products are relevant. You know, when I look at them and I look at the price, I'm like, yeah, makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, right? So I think you've definitely achieved that for me.
Yeah, that's great.
There's still a lot of...
represent many people for me.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
So where are you now? 8 years in the making. where do you stand as an organization? What are the things you've done so far?
So so far I'm so privileged that I can humbly say that we really contributed to making this industry great and to making great brands buy furniture and trust furniture, even finishing products from Rwanda. Even more architecture offices are coming here, international architecture offices, international designers. It's really great to see that I am part of the making of this industry. It's a huge privilege. That's the first. I always give an example when I started making doors. Like I was making doors because everybody made these very, how can I say, really tasteless doors that all looked tired and depressing and not nice at all. Made of great material, but really looking awful. And everybody had the same stuff, right? And I remember even the house I grew up in had the same doors. And then, no offense, Dad.
You're like, I'm gonna make it my mission to change.
And I was like, what is these doors? They're so dark. They're so whatever. So when I started making doors, I was like, my job, if I can literally improve the architectural perspective in my country, I'll be so blessed. So I literally started making these solid doors that are just simple and, just elegant and simple. And then people really loved them. And people really, the first 3 years of Wood Habitat, people were like, oh my God, we're crazy about your doors, like iconic, and the work you put in and the finishing and the accessories, the way they open. Because I go that extra, like, I'm like, what's the sound when it opens? So then now what I love when I go around in houses, I'm one of the contributors who changed that. And really houses, they have nice doors. Not only that, like I see people now, they get like cafes, great hotels, they open here. We're among the first people they contact, even great national projects. They come to us, they're like, okay, we have a huge file like this. This is their vision. Sometimes, project before even the foundation is laid. So it's a great milestone and a great privilege and a great responsibility. Like not only being able to work for big names, like the one and only that I love so much, not only to change many, many homes. Like I love some of 3 of my favorite client stories. Is one that this kid got furniture as a gift for their parents from Wood Habitat before they even bought their own couch. Like literally they were living this bachelor life, no couch, no nothing. I didn't know about that life. But then they ended up investing so much in furnishing their parents' home. They're like, oh my God, this is something I'll invest in, for instance, right? So that's the relevance that we achieved to have in the market. Or how, for instance, the campaigns we lead, like during COVID, people say in 2020, people say that we threw the party of 2020. Like it was the only party in Rwanda. Because our parties are not just to party and just get unsafe and just people get too close to each other. It was just connect, even if we're distant. 2020 was a year that everybody was distant. We managed to put together a community and people were having a good time and staying safe, but at the same time being together. And I remember when back home, it was curfew, 7 p.m. I went back home crying of the overwhelm of the beauty of how people were enjoying. And people were like, oh my God, hi, how are we? And just from a distance, nobody can hug, nobody can, like, it was so powerful. Yeah. So what we've been able to put together, to me as a community, as what we represent, the contribution we're bringing to, my own perspective about what our environment should look like, even like families saying, one of my favorite stories is like our clients here, let's say expatriate clients, they live with their furniture here, and then when they move back to their home countries or they're sent to other countries, they take a container, fill it, take their furniture around the world with them. our
That's
friends,
amazing.
right? They're like, I don't want to just, you know, separate from this piece that is, and also that's our spirit with Habitat we're creating for a legacy. So I mean, this is a legacy we are building, and we want this connection, the bond, the beauty of spending more time together, of connecting, of achieving more, of doing more for each other, for one another, of living for yourself and others at the same time. That's also why we say we live, create, and we love, you see. So it's that's the comment dirais, that to me, that's the biggest thing I've achieved. Not to mention that, you know, I achieved to have a great team that can allow me to really get proper or no. Another thing that we've achieved as well is to have a team that really, and I'd love to have this conversation with you because you understand the value of a team. So to me, recently I was asking the head of my production, Anisette, tell me, soon we are celebrating our 10th anniversary. And, you know, I want you to tell me, what is the great thing that you want to give, you know, with Habitat to Rwanda, the world? He looked at me, he said, great people. I was like, wow. This is a carpenter. This is the head of my production. This is not a great leader on a big platform. But how he put it was so powerful. And I realized this is what we've achieved. And he's like, this is what we've been doing. And this is what I want to continue to do with you. And so that's so beautiful that I've been able to build a team. And we see so far, we see very far from where we are, but also we are connected and grounded to where we are. We understand the challenges, we understand what it takes to go where we want to go. So the team is very important to me, the team that we have. And the third thing that we've achieved, I mentioned the first thing is to me the community, the client, the people who value or who understand where we're going, not only from a brand perspective, but for a country, for Africa. Like I have clients from around Africa saying, I've never seen this quality in Africa. Are you producing in Europe or in the US? I'm like, no, this is made in Rwanda. We're producing here. We're creating here. So no, it's you know, it's a great achievement. Then the team, and then the third thing is really now to have a clearer vision where we're going. Now I know how the next 30 years of what Habitat will look like. Now I know how the next 200 years of what Habitat will look like. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of achievements. And a lot of work you guys have done for sure has really contributed to, like, I think the whole notion of making high quality furniture. I think you guys were definitely the pioneer, and we've started seeing a lot more players coming into the space. So that's huge. That's a huge load to carry for you guys. You've been an entrepreneur for a while now, and do you think this thing is for everybody?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I don't think so. And I don't think it has to be.
Why is that?
First, entrepreneurship is not the greatest thing in the world to me. I am a big believer of bloom where you're planted. You know, I would still be a great person even if I was not an entrepreneur, even if I was working somewhere as, I don't know, whatever you name it. I would still do great, because greatness is not about how you're serving or what's your rank. It's the level of commitment and passion you have about your service. And to me, so I'm passionately angry with the fact that entrepreneurship and, you know, being a boss is almost like a trend in our generation, or everybody wanting to be on a platform, everybody wanting to take the stage and the microphone. It's really like, I'm sad about it. I'm grieved by that approach and by looking at life like that. Did I do that? Yes, I did. You know, I honestly did that. Like, you know, starting a business at 21, you have a mixture of all those things, goals. But now I realize that the most important thing is to bloom where I am planted. Wherever I'm planted, I'm just gonna bloom. It's like sun rays. It's sunny. When it's sunny, it's sunny. It's just that the light is there. So to me, I don't think first entrepreneurship is for everybody. I don't think that. But it's not from a perspective because it's too special. No, it's just like asking me. Sorry, it's just like asking me. Is farming for everybody? To me, that's like the same. Almost like it's the same thing. Like farming is not for everybody. Like some people are nurtured to be farmers. They are brought up in environment that nurture that. And it's easy for them to become that. The same way I was nurtured to be an entrepreneur, so it was easier for me to be one. But it's not because I'm too special, or it's because entrepreneurs are like special people. But there's something I admire and I want to share with you about the journey of being an entrepreneur. It's the discipline component that I believe it's something that wherever I will be, wherever I am at every point of my life, I want to stay connected to, like that high level of discipline and dismounting a challenge. Like nothing can be that hard. Yeah, so that's it. It's not definitely for everybody. And I believe even if it's not for everybody, some people are really meant to do it very well. And I have a privilege to be one of them and to continue to prepare for that.
What are you excited about that's coming up?
Okay, first is the expansion of Wood Habitat.
Yeah.
We are expanding regionally and globally. Yeah, so it's the global and the regional expansion. It's so exciting. It's so challenging. It's like a new journey I'm studying, and the team, we're very challenged. We are very excited about it. We're like, oh my God, how do you think Singapore will react to this? How do you think Nairobi will react to this?
Yeah.
Or they have. Or you see the expansion is exciting, but also I'm really, really, really so excited about, especially this specific season of my life, that I'm just like at a point of undoing many things that I did wrong as an entrepreneur. And as I am undoing it, I'm also becoming that great entrepreneur I always aspired to be. Like I see that step every day. I see me taking a decision of, a disciplined life, healthy life of a present full-time mom as an entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur that has proper understanding in finance and technology. Yeah. So I'm really excited about this ability and this grace that took me to this level of wanting to be better and to make everything around me better.
Paradis, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the work you've done so far in building up the industry of furniture and bringing art and producing beautiful pieces of work. And the work you're going to keep doing as you're expanding all over Africa and all over the world. We can't wait to see your success. We can't wait to celebrate you as you get there.
Wow, that's let me take that in. Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Cheers.